Hello, everyone, and welcome to Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. We are officially on page 231, guys. If you look here, we barely have any of our book left, just a small section left. So I'll be reading you 10 pages today. We only have, I think it's 310 pages, so we only have about 80 pages left to go. It's hard to stop muggles from noticing us if we're keeping dragons in the back garden. Anyway, you can't tame dragons. It's dangerous. You should see the burns Charlie's got from his wild ones in Romania. There aren't wild dragons in Britain, said Harry. Of course there are, said Ron. Common Welsh green and Hebridean blacks. The Ministry of Magic has a job hushing them up, I can tell you. Our kind have to keep putting spells on muggles who spotted them just to forget them. So what on earth's Hagrid up to, said Hermione. When they knocked on the door of the gamekeeper's hut an hour later, they were surprised to see that all the curtains were closed. Hagrid called, "Who is it?" before he let them in, and then shut the door quickly behind them. It was stifling hot inside. Even though it was such a warm day, there was a blazing fire in the grate. Hagrid made them tea and offered them stoat sandwiches, which they refused. So you want to ask me something? Yes, said Harry. You're wondering if you could tell us what's guarding the Sorcerer's Stone apart from Fluffy. Hagrid frowned at him. Of course I can't, he said. Number one, I don't know myself. Number two, you know too much already, so I wouldn't tell you even if I could. That stone's here for good reason. It was almost stolen out of Gringotts. I suppose you've worked that out and all. Beats me how you even know about Fluffy. Oh, come on, Hagrid. You might not want us to tell us, but you do know. You know everything that goes on around here, said Hermione in a warm, flattering voice. Hagrid's beard twitched as they could tell he was smiling. We only wondered who had done the guarding, really, Hermione went on. We wondered who Dumbledore had trusted enough to help him apart from you. Hagrid's chest swelled out at the last words. Harry and Ron beamed at Hermione. Well, I don't suppose it'd hurt to tell you that. Let's see. He borrowed Fluffy from me. Then some of the teachers did enchantments. Professor Sprout, Professor Flitwick, Professor McGonagall. He ticked them off his fingers. Professor Quirrell and Dumbledore himself did something, of course. Hang on, I've forgotten someone. Oh yeah, Professor Snape. Snape? Yeah, you're not still on about that, are you? Look, Snape helped protect the stone. He's not about to steal it. Harry knew Ron and Hermione were thinking the same thing as he was. If Snape had been in on protecting the stone, it must have been easy to find out how other teachers had guarded it. He probably knew everything, except it seemed Quirrell's spell and how to get past Fluffy. You're the one who knows how to get past Fluffy, aren't you, Hagrid? Said Harry anxiously. And you won't tell anyone, would you? Not even one of the teachers. Not a soul except me and Dumbledore, said Hagrid proudly. Well, that's something, Harry muttered. Hagrid, can you have a window open, please? I'm boiling. Can't, Harry. Sorry, said Hagrid. Harry noticed and glanced at the fire. Harry looked at it too. Hagrid, what's that? But he already knew what it was. In the heart of the fire, underneath the kettle, was a huge black egg. Ah, that's, where did you get it, Hagrid? Said Ron, crouching over the fire to get a closer look at the egg. It must have cost you a fortune. I won it last night, Hagrid said. I was down in the village having a few drinks and got into a game of cards with a stranger. Think he was quite glad to get rid of it, to be honest. But what are you going to do with it when it's hatched? Said Hermione. Well, I've been doing some reading. Got this out of the library, Dragon Breeding for Pleasure and Profit. It's a bit out of date, of course, but it's all in here. Keep the egg in the fire, because the mother's breath on them. See them, and when it hatches, feed it a bucket of brandy mixed with chicken blood every half hour. And see here how to recognize different eggs that I got here is a Norwegian Ridgeback. They're rare, they are. He looked very pleased with himself, but Hermione didn't. Hagrid, you live in a wooden house, she said. But Hagrid wasn't listening. He was humming merrily as he stoked the fire. So now they had something else to worry about. What happened to Hagrid if anyone found out he was building an illegal dragon in his hut, hiding an illegal dragon in his hut? Wonder what it's like to have a peaceful life, Ron sighed as an evening after they struggled through all the extra homework they were getting. Hermione had now started making study schedules for Harry and Ron too. It was driving them nuts. Then one breakfast time, Hedwig brought Harry another note from Hagrid. He had written only 2 words, "It's hatching." Ron wanted to skip herbology to go straight down to the hut. Hermione wouldn't hear of it. "Hermione, how many times in our lives are we going to see a dragon hatching? We've got lessons, we'll all get into trouble, and there's nothing that what Hagrid's going to be in the trouble Hagrid's going to be in when someone finds out what he's doing." "Shut up," Harry whispered. Malfoy was only a few feet away, and he had stopped dead to listen. How much had he heard? Harry didn't like the look on Malfoy's face at all. Ron and Hermione argued all the way to herbology, and in the end, Hermione agreed to run down to Hagrid's with the 2 others during morning break. When the bell sounded from the castle at the end of their lesson, the 3 of them dropped their trowels at once and hurried through the grounds to the edge of the forest. Hagrid greeted them, looking flushed and excited. "It's nearly out," he ushered them inside. The egg was lying on the table. There was deep cracks in it. Something was moving inside. A funny clicking noise was coming from it. They all drew their chairs up to the table and watched with bated breath. All at once, there was a scraping noise and the egg split open. The baby dragon flopped onto the table. It wasn't exactly pretty. Harry thought it looked like a crumpled black umbrella. Its spiny wings were huge compared to its skinny body. It had a long snout with wide nostrils, the stubs of horns, and bulging orange eyes. It sneezed. A couple of sparks flew out of its snout. "Isn't he beautiful?" Hagrid murmured. He reached out a hand to stroke the dragon's head. It snapped at his fingers, showing pointed fangs. "Bless him, look, he knows his mommy," said Hagrid. "Hagrid, how fast do Norwegian Ridgebacks grow exactly?" Hagrid was about to answer when the color suddenly drained from his face. He leapt to his feet and ran to the window. "What's the matter?" "Someone was looking through the gap in the curtains. The kid, he's running back up to the school." Harry bolted to the door and looked out. Even at a distance, there was no mistaking him. Malfoy had seen the dragon. Something about the smile lurking on Malfoy's face during the next week made Ron, Harry, and Hermione very nervous. They spent most of their free time in Hagrid's darkened hut trying to reason with him. "Just let him go," Harry said. "Set him free." "I can't. He's too little. He'd die," said Hagrid. They looked at the dragon. It had grown 3 times in length in just a week. Smoke kept rolling out of its nostrils. Hagrid hadn't been doing his gamekeeping duties because the dragon was keeping him so busy. There were empty brandy bottles and chicken feathers all over the floor. "I've decided to call him Norbert," said Hagrid. "He really knows me now. Watch. Norbert, Norbert, where's Mommy?" "He's lost his marbles," Ron said. "Hagrid," said Harry, "give it 2 weeks and Norbert's going to be as long as your house. Malfoy could go to Dumbledore at any moment." Hagrid bit his lip. "I know I can't keep him forever, but I just can't dump him. I can't." Harry suddenly turned to Ron. "Charlie," he said, "you're losing it too. I'm Ron, remember?" "No, Charlie, your brother Charlie in Romania, studying dragons. We could send Norbert to him. Charlie can take care of him and then put him back in the wild." "Brilliant," said Ron. "How about it, Hagrid?" And in the end, Hagrid agreed that he could send an owl to Charlie to ask him. The following week dragged by. Wednesday night found Hermione and Harry sitting alone in the common room long after everyone else had gone to bed. The clock on the wall had just chimed midnight when the portrait hole burst open. Ron appeared out of nowhere as he pulled off Harry's invisibility cloak. He had been down in Hagrid's hut, helping him feed Norbert, who was now eating dead rats by the crate. "It bit me," he said, showing them his hand, which was wrapped in a bloody handkerchief. "I'm not going to be able to hold a quill for a week. I tell you, that dragon's the most horrible animal I've ever met." The way Hagrid goes on about him, you'd think it was a fluffy little bunny rabbit. "When it bit me, he told me off for frightening it, and when I left, he was singing it a lullaby." There was a tap on the dark window. "Hedwig," said Harry. "She'll have Charlie's answer." The 3 of them put their heads together to read the note. "Dear Ron, how are you? Thanks for the letter. I'd be glad to take the Norwegian Ridgeback, but it won't be easy getting him here. I think the best thing will be to send him over with some friends of mine who are coming to visit next week. Trouble is, they mustn't be seen carrying an illegal dragon. Could you get the Ridgeback up the tallest tower at midnight on Saturday? We can meet you there and take him away while it's dark. Send me an answer as soon as possible. Love, Charlie." They looked at each other. "We've got the invisibility cloak," said Harry. "It shouldn't be too difficult. I think the cloak's big enough to carry 2 of us and Norbert." It was the mark of how bad the last week had been. The other 2 agreed with him. Anything to get rid of Norbert and Malfoy. There was a hitch. By the next morning, Ron's bitten hand had swollen to twice its usual size. He didn't know whether it was safe to go to Madame Pomfrey would she recognize a dragon bite. By the afternoon, though, he had no choice. The cut had turned to a nasty shade of green. It looked as if Norbert's fangs were poisonous. Harry and Hermione rushed up to the hospital wing in the end of the day to find Ron in a terrible state in bed. "It's not just my hand," he whispered, "although it feels like it's about to fall off. Malfoy told Madame Pomfrey he wanted to borrow one of my books so he could come and have a good laugh with me. He kept threatening to tell her what really bit me. I've told her it was a dog, but I didn't think she believed me. I shouldn't have hit him with the Quidditch match. That's why he's doing all this." Harry and Hermione tried to calm Ron down. "It'll all be over midnight on Saturday," said Hermione, but this didn't soothe Ron at all. "Midnight on Saturday," he said. "Oh, no, I've just remembered. Charlie's letter was on the book Malfoy took. He's going to know we're getting rid of Norbert." Harry and Hermione didn't get a chance to answer. Madame Pomfrey came over at that moment and made them leave, saying Ron needed sleep. "It's too late to change the plan now," Harry told Hermione. "We haven't got time to send Charlie another owl, and this could be our only chance to get rid of Norbert. We'll have to ask it, and we have to get the invisibility cloak. Malfoy doesn't know about that." They found Fang, the boarhound, sitting outside the bandaged tail when they went to tell Hagrid, who opened a window to talk to them. "I won't let you in. Norbert's in a tricky stage. Nothing I can't handle, though." When they told him about Charlie's letter, his eyes filled with tears, although they might have been because Norbert had just bitten him on the leg. "Ah, it's all right. He's got my boot. Just playing. He's only a baby after all." The baby banged its tail on the wall, making the windows rattle. Harry and Hermione walked back to the castle, feeling Saturday couldn't come quickly enough. They would have felt sorry for Hagrid when the time came for him to say goodbye to Norbert if they hadn't been so worried about what they had to do. It was a very dark, cloudy night, and they were a bit late arriving at Hagrid's hut because they'd had to wait for Peeves to get out of the way in the entrance hall where he'd been playing tennis against the wall. Hagrid had Norbert packed and ready in a large crate. "He's got lots of rats and some brandy for the journey," said Hagrid in a muffled voice, "and I packed this teddy bear in case he gets lonely." From inside the crate came rippling noises and sounded to Harry as though the teddy was having his head torn off. "Bye-bye, Norbert," Hagrid sobbed as Harry and Hermione covered the crate with the invisibility cloak and stepped underneath it themselves. "Mommy will never forget you." How they managed to get the crate back up to the castle, they never knew. Midnight ticked near as they heaved Norbert up this marble staircase in the entrance hall and along the dark corridors. Up another staircase and another. Even one of Harry's shortcuts didn't make the work much easier. "Nearly there," Harry whispered as they reached the corridor beneath the tallest tower. Then a sudden movement ahead of them made them almost drop the crate. Forgetting that they were already invisible, they shrank into the shadows, staring at the dark outlines of two people grappling with each other 10 feet away. A lamp flared. Professor McGonagall in a tartan bathrobe and a hairnet, and Malfoy by the ear. "Detention," she shouted, "and 20 points from Slytherin. Wandering around in the middle of the night. How dare you? You don't understand, Professor. Harry Potter's coming. He's got a dragon." "What utter rubbish! How dare you tell such lies? Come on, I shall see Professor Snape about you, Malfoy." And that is all for today. I almost kept reading because it was so good, guys. We will see you next time. Bye.